Hello, my name is Professor Johnson, and I am going to show you how to create a histogram in your calculator. So I'm using some data from a golfer who recorded the number of birdies shot during his last 12 rounds of golf played. So I have 12 total data points, and you can see my data listed here. What I want to do first is go to Stat and then Edit, and I want to list all of my data in here. So 4, 5, 3, 7, 6, 4, 3, 4, 5, 7, 4, and 4. Okay, now let's check if I have typed all that in right. It's always best go back up and recount, just double check. Okay, so I have typed it in correctly. Also notice if you look right here, list 1 of 13, you can see I'm in the 13th spot right now, and the 13th spot is blank. Go up to the 12th spot, you can see 4 is the last entry that I entered. You can see I'm at the 12th entry right there, equals 4. If you go up, the 11th entry is 4, and so I know I typed in 12 for sure, and 13th is blank. Now I'm going to quit out. I'm going to do second mode. Second mode quits you back to the main screen, as I call it. And we need to make a histogram. So what we need to do first is check that y equals is empty. That'll be my first step. Y equals, make sure everything is cleared out. Okay, cleared out, everything turned off. Make sure there's no highlighting. It may even be a good idea to go all the way down past Y7 and see if it's empty. I know I've checked earlier, it's totally clear. And the reason I say that is many errors that occur are from it being thrown in your backpack and your calculator just hitting a bunch of buttons. Whatever buttons were pushed will end up giving you an error later on when you try graphing. But if I hit the graph button now, notice it's completely blank, nothing's there. I'm happy with that. So go back to y equals. As you can see in y equals, there's this thing called plot 1 up here. I'm flashing on it right now, plot 1. But I can't just simply turn plot 1 on by hitting enter. If you hit enter on it, you see I've highlighted it, I've turned it on. But by turning it on, I have created an error. And that's because I didn't change the settings. I need to go and change the settings. So I'm going to hit quit. To go to the settings, I need to actually hit second y equals. So hit second y equals, and now you see plot 1. It says it's on, but it gave me an error when I plotted it, but it's because I didn't change the type. I want to change my type to histogram, and then I need to double check that my X list is properly placed. Now, my data is in list 1, and it says X list is list 1. I'm happy with that, so don't change that. Did I make a frequency table? No, I did not. So I do not touch frequency 1. Just don't touch it at all. I will now quit out of this. So everything is set the way I want it. It's turned on. I can hit second quit again. Or second mode. I can hit second mode again, and this helps you quit. Okay. So I've adjusted my plot menu. The next thing I want to do is hit the zoom button, and there's many choices. But I'm going to scroll down to the 9th one, so you can see zoom and then number 9. By hitting zoom and number 9, it picks zoom stat. And where did we put our data in? We put it in the stat button, so that helps you remember to hit zoom stat. So I hit zoom 9. As you can see, this is what I call the default histogram. Okay, that's made. If you hit the trace button allows you to hop on each of these bars. Now you can see that the minimum it was set as 3, max 3.8, and then if I hop to the right by hitting the right arrow, you can jump to different spots and see values. But notice there's some weird gap here, 6.2 to 7. There's no values that are 6.2 and less than 7. You see it says max less than 7. It's not including the 7. It actually included the 7 in that bar. And you can see in our data set there's 2 7s. And you can see that by counting 1, 2. And that matches what the calculator screen says right here. N is 2. That's the count. That's the height of the bar. Now, the default is not the most ideal picture. As you can see, it has a weird gap. Usually gaps tell you that there's no data there, but this gap is actually just kind of a mistake in a way. I'll think of it like that. So what I'm going to do is quit out of here, and I'm going to think about where should I start? Where should I start for my data set that I have? Now, what I like to do is you need to go a little bit lower than the lowest point. Now, what is our lowest value here? It may help to sort this data so that we can see what the lowest value is. So if you go to the Stat button again and go down to Sort A, this will sort it least to greatest. And now I told it in Sort A to hit second list 1. Hit enter. It has sorted it. It told me it's done. Go back to Stat and edit. And now the lowest you can see is 3. But I need to go to a starting point. I need to go a little bit less than 3. I like to go a little bit less and a half less. So 2.5 is really a little bit lower than 3. Now, with my end, I need to go all the way to the max, and you could probably tell from earlier, the max was 7, and you can see that. Max is 7, I need to go a little bit beyond. I'm going to go to 7.5, because it's a little bit beyond. Now, I'm going a decimal place difference. You see how the 0.5 was introduced? I'm going a decimal place difference so that if I go back to the graph, I'll just hit the graph button, and I'll hit trace. You can see the boundary, the left part of that bar right there is a 3. That boundary really landed on my data value. I do not like boundaries ending on the data value. Same thing happened later on down here when we looked at 7 to 7.8. 7 is equals, and that made that boundary there. But notice here, 7 showed up less than 7. Really, the 7 was a transition. To avoid that type of transition, I am making my decimal location one more different than the original data. So from integers, now I'm just introducing the tenths place. Now, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, there are 5 bars here. So now you need to pick how many bars that you want. Let's just pick 5 bars again. Also, let's pick 5 bars because there's actually 5 unique data values. If I go back to Stat Edit, I'm picking 5 bars because there's a 3, there's a 4, there's a 5, a 6, and a 7. A 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If you count those, there's 5 of them. There's 5 unique data. I'm going to make 5 bars. So now I'm going to decide what the width of my bars should be. If you hit the graph button, you can see on here and hit trace, the width of those bars was about 0.8. You can see from 3 to 3.8. A width of 0.8, that's kind of funny. So I'm going to make a better width. And here's the equation to make your width. What you do is you take your end value, subtract your start value, and divide by the number of bars that you want. And my end is 7.5, my start is 2.5, and I'm dividing by 5. So my width is going to end up becoming, and I'll use my calculator, I can put it in parentheses, 7.5 minus 2.5, and then divide by 5 gives you 1. My width is 1. Now, how do I change everything that I just decided. I wanted my starting point, my ending point, and now I have a width of 1. To make my changes, I need to go to the window button. So now I'm going to hit window, because then it adjusts what my screen looks like. So hit window, it's up on the top. The minimum, that is also thinking of my starting point. Maximum, 7.5, that's thinking of my end point. Now you see here X, SCL, 0.8. That 0.8 should be familiar because when we looked at the bars, we saw that it went from 3 to 3.8. That is a width of 0.8. We want to make that width 1. And then just hit enter. Okay, it has saved our changes. Now, do not hit the zoom button again. All you need to do is change your window settings and then hit graph. And when you hit graph, it actually makes a nice, pretty histogram. And as you can see, there's no weird, funny gap, right? Everything flows together smoothly, 2.5 to 3.5. That is the count where the 3s are at. 3.5 to 4.5 are where the 4s are at. And then so on and so forth. As you can see, it still counted that there were 2 7s there, but 6.5 to 7.5 makes it more clear that the 7s definitely land there. And this is why we had to adjust the start and end point. The default graph that was made is not incorrect. It's just a different way of doing it. And every instructor may have their preferences, but I believe that this is the most clear way to avoid boundary issues when making a histogram. Thank you for watching my video.